This is the AQA practical on waves, and in order to show you this we've got a piece of equipment called the ripple tank. So this is what's known as the ripple tank, because the problem with waves is we've got to be able to try and see waves, and in order to see waves we need to think about how we can do that. So in this ripple tank we have some water. Now in order for us to see them, you might see them on top of the water here. So if I just kind of make the water move, you might be able to see the water itself move, but that's not very good. So what we tend to do is we shine a light through the water, and then as the light passes through the water, when the surface of the water is changing shape with the waves on, this causes shadows underneath. So if I just kind of put my finger, you will be able to see the classic like drips in a pond, where you've got the circular waves going out from the point. Okay, so that's how we're seeing waves. It's using a light shining through water, the shadows of the water causing the pattern or the waves to be seen on a piece of paper. Now, to do an experiment, we need to ideally produce, rather than doing these type of waves, circular waves today, what we're going to produce is waves going across. And you can see if I just move this mounted bar, if I kind of start to move it, you should possibly see some waves going across the paper from this way towards me. Okay, but it's not particularly good me moving that. We really need to move it more regularly so we can take some measurements. And so to do that, if we connect, we've got a little motor on here, and this motor's spinning a weight round. So this turns round, and as it turns round, it's causing this beam or this bar to vibrate up and down slightly, and of course that's hitting the water and causing disturbances on the water, which we would see as waves. So if we just turn it on, you might be able to see it. Okay, so there you can see quite clearly waves moving across the screen. Okay, so to try and take some measurements, we've got the ripple tank set up at quite a slow speed, and you can see, it might help on the camera, if I try and follow a wave and move my hand, I'm sort of moving my hand at the speed that these waves are going across the paper. Okay, now what we could do with this, I could move my hand for a particular distance, say I moved it 20 centimetres, and if it took me 1 second to move 20 centimetres, then of course we could work out the speed as being 20 centimetres per second. So we can do quite straightforward measurements for speed. What we do need to look at though is we've got our formula, which is wave speed is frequency times wavelength, and just to see if we can show the effects of that with this setup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the frequency of the waves, and I can do that, if you remember, by making the motor spin a bit faster on the top. So at the moment you can see the speed. If I keep knocking it, sorry. If I move my hand approximately, that's the speed, okay? So now if I just increase the speed of the motor, so I've increased the speed of the motor, which has increased the frequency of the motor, and you'll notice that if I move my hand, I'm following a wave again, you will see that my hand is moving at the same speed as it was before. So increasing the frequency hasn't increased the speed, but what has happened, and again depending on how clear the video is, you'll notice the wavelength is getting smaller, so it's reduced the wavelength. Good.